Dark clouds covered the little town of Ashbrook, and every street looked gray and empty. Inside a small apartment near the edge of town, a young man named Daniel sat alone beside his window. His Bible rested on the table untouched for weeks. Bills were scattered across the floor. His phone was silent. His heart felt heavier than ever before. Daniel whispered quietly, "God, where are you?" Just a few months earlier, life had looked different. Daniel had a steady job, close friends, and dreams that gave him hope. But everything began falling apart one piece at a time. First, he lost his job after the company shut down unexpectedly. Then his closest friend moved away. Soon after, his mother became sick, and hospital expenses piled higher every week. Daniel tried to stay strong. He told himself that things would get better soon, but deep inside, fear was growing. Every morning he woke up with the same question: how much more can I handle? One evening, while staring at the rain outside, Daniel remembered something his grandmother used to tell him when he was a child. "Storms never ask permission before they come," she would say softly, "but God never leaves his children alone in the storm." Daniel closed his eyes. Tears rolled down his face. For the first time in weeks, he prayed honestly. "God, I'm tired. I don't understand what you're doing. I feel lost. But if you are still with me, please show me." The apartment stayed silent, but something inside him felt slightly lighter. The next morning, Daniel woke up earlier than usual. The rain had finally stopped. Sunlight pushed through the clouds for the first time in days. He walked outside just to clear his mind. While passing a small coffee shop, he noticed an old man sitting alone near the entrance. The man smiled warmly. "You look like someone carrying the whole world on his shoulders," he said. Daniel forced a small smile. "Maybe I am." The old man nodded slowly. "You know," he said, "sometimes God allows heavy seasons not to destroy us but to reveal how strong we truly are." Daniel stayed quiet. The stranger continued. "People think faith means never struggling, but real faith is choosing to keep walking even when everything hurts." Those words stayed with Daniel all day. That night, he opened his Bible again after many weeks. His eyes stopped on a verse: "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." Daniel read it again and again. Something about those words felt personal, as if God himself was speaking directly into his broken heart. Days passed. Life did not suddenly become perfect. Bills were still waiting, his mother was still sick, and he still had no job. But slowly, Daniel began changing. Instead of spending his mornings in fear, he started praying again. Instead of believing he was abandoned, he started believing that maybe God was preparing him for something greater. One afternoon, Daniel received a call from an old coworker. "Hey," the man said, "I heard another company is hiring. I immediately thought of you." Daniel almost ignored the opportunity because doubt filled his mind. What if they reject me too? But something inside whispered, "Keep going." So he applied. A week later, he was called for an interview. The manager looked over his resume carefully before asking, "Tell me honestly, why should we hire you?" Daniel paused. Normally, he would speak about skills or experience. But this time, his answer came from somewhere deeper. "Because I know how to survive hard seasons," he said quietly. "And hard seasons teach people things success never can." The manager stared at him for a moment, then smiled. "You start Monday." Daniel walked out of the building almost unable to breathe. For the first time in months, hope returned to his heart. But the story was not over. A few weeks later, his mother's condition suddenly became worse. Doctors rushed her into emergency treatment. Daniel sat alone in the hospital hallway, trembling with fear. "God," he whispered, "I thought things were finally getting better." Hours passed like years. Finally, the doctor walked out with a gentle smile. "She's going to recover." Daniel broke down crying right there in the hallway, not because life had become easy, but because he realized something powerful. God had carried him through every moment he thought would destroy him. Months later, Daniel stood outside during sunrise, watching golden light spread across the sky. The stormy season that once felt endless had changed him completely. He was stronger now, kinder now, closer to God now. And finally, he understood something many people never realize. Pain can either break you or prepare you. The difference is whether you choose to trust God while walking through it. That evening, Daniel visited the same coffee shop where he had met the old man months before. But this time, the seat near the entrance was empty. The waitress noticed him looking around. "Who are you searching for?" she asked. "The older man who sits outside sometimes," Daniel replied. She looked confused. "Nobody sits out there," she said. "Not for months." Daniel froze. He walked outside slowly and stared at the empty chair. A soft wind moved through the street, and deep in his spirit he remembered the words, "You are going to come through this." Tears filled his eyes again, because now he believed it completely. Maybe you are reading this story while carrying silent pain nobody understands. Maybe your nights feel long. Maybe fear keeps whispering that things will never improve. But hear this clearly. Your current situation is not your final destination. God sees every tear, every sleepless night, every silent prayer, every moment you almost gave up. And even when heaven feels quiet, God is still working behind the scenes. Sometimes breakthroughs happen slowly. Sometimes healing takes time. Sometimes answers arrive in ways we never expected. But God has not forgotten you. The storm will not last forever. The pain will not define your future. And the battle you are facing today will one day become the testimony that inspires someone else to keep going. One day you will look back and realize, the season that nearly broke you was actually the season God used to rebuild you. So do not quit now. Do not lose hope now. Do not let fear convince you that your story is over, because God is saying to you today, you are going to come through this. Not by your strength alone, not because life is easy, but because God walks beside you through every storm, every valley, and every impossible moment. Even now, especially now. The night may feel dark, but morning is coming.